Hello and welcome to Bry's Book and Film. I watch the rubbish films so you don't have to. And the film I'm going to talk about today is No Retreat, No Surrender from 1980. It was released in Italy on October the 20th of 1985. So I would have been 9, fast approaching 10. And it was released in the United States on May the 2nd of 1986, so I was 10 and a half. Now the film, the lead, it has got Van Damme in it, Jean-Claude Van Damme, but he's only got a very small, very minimal part in the film. You've got Kurt McKinney, who plays Jason Stillwell, and J.W. Fales, who plays his little mate RJ. There's a few other people. Kent Lipham plays Scott, the neighbourhood bully. Kent Lipham sadly passed away on the 29th of September, the 25th of September 2008. I don't know what he passed away from, what caused that. I just saw that it was an important thing, so I thought we'll include that. So Kent Lipham plays Scott, the neighbourhood bully. Now, so what happens is, what we've got is a series of unconnected events. So it starts off with I think his name's Tom Stillwell. He's Jason's dad. He's a karate instructor. He's got a dojo, and it starts off with him teaching a class, and his son Jason is in the class, who then decides he's going to take it a little bit too far, and he starts making monkey noises and all that sort of carry on. He starts making all the monkey noises in the training bit and sort of batters the other bloke a bit. Then Dad comes in and says, "Look, turn it in. You're being an idiot." So anyway, so the session ends and we get the gangsters appear. They want Mr. Stillwell's dojo as part of their national syndicate. And of course, you've got Jean-Claude Van Damme playing Ivan the Russian. Oh, very original, isn't it? Because as we know, the Americans do like to they do like to have foreigners playing the villains. It's just the way they are. Nothing against Americans. So you've got a gangster and a goon and Van Damme and, so the goon tries to have a go at Mr. Stillwell and he sort of comes off worst. So then Ivan the Russian steams in and breaks Mr. Stillwell's leg and he injures him. So then just like that, the Stillwell family decide they're going to run away. They're going to up and leave, and that's it. They're off. They're going from Los Angeles to Seattle because they just instantly bought a house in Seattle. It's not connected. It's just there. Anyway, so when they get to Seattle, their new house in Seattle, Jason is unloading the trailer, doing the typical teenage thing of one item at a time and only focusing on what he wants. So he sets up all his karate stuff in the new garage. He's got his wooden man and he's got his punching bag and he's got this, that and the other, training ball and all this sort of thing. And on his various trips to and from the trailer, because they can't park the trailer in the driveway, they've got to leave it out in the street. That's where RJ appears. RJ appears, and then RJ and Jason become firm friends instantly, because that's how that works, and they start knocking around together. Let's have a think. While Jason is unloading the U-Haul trailer, the neighbourhood bully, Scott, played by the late Kent Lipham, decides he doesn't like this new arrival around the manor, and he doesn't like RJ anyway, for reasons that are never disclosed. He doesn't like RJ, and he wants to beat him up for whatever reason. Nobody knows. So anyway, so RJ and Jason are firm friends, and Jason goes into his whole karate thing and his obsession with Bruce Lee. He wants to be like Bruce Lee. He wants to be Bruce Lee. Anyway, so RJ says, "Well, I know this karate dojo. You can go along there, and you can do your karate because Mr. Stillwell is still hobbling around with a busted leg, and he's a bit of a coward anyway. He doesn't really want to fight, and he's karate's not for fighting, it's for self-defense. Yeah, we know that. Anyway, so RJ takes Jason along to the new dojo, and Scott, the neighborhood bully's in there, and he sees him and he thinks, now's my chance to exact some revenge. So he sort of sidles over to the instructor in charge of that day's session, who happens to be the second in command, basically, because the main man is away in a competition. We'll get to that. We don't know. He just is. So anyway, so Scott the bully sidles over and he says, this new fella, he reckons that all Seattle karate is rubbish, and we're all just no good, and he's going to come in here and sort us out. Even though that Jason is a red belt and there's black belts there and various other, So the second in command, he falls for this cunning little scheme, and he gets his protege, Frank Peters, played by Peter Cunningham, who is a genuine bona fide martial arts legend. Peter Cunningham, genuine legend, and he plays Frank Peters, and he says to Frank, go and stretch this bloke out of it, give him a bit of a going over for us. So then Frank sort of goes a bit heavy-handed, he steams in, does him over, old Jason, and then Jason and RJ, for whatever reason, just run away. They just leg it. That's it, hit legs, we're off. So that's never discussed. Then we find out that the boys are going to a party. We're not told whose party, it's just a party that's happening. Jason has not been invited to said party, but RJ says, no, we're going to go anyway. So it turns out that the party they're going to is a girl called Kelly. I can't remember the actress's name. And we then discover that Jason already knows Kelly from LA. Right, okay. It's just, we're going to a random party. Oh, it's Kelly's. Oh, that's a bonus, isn't it? I already know her. Result. But the second in command of the new karate dojo, he likes Kelly. He wants to grab hold of Kelly. He wants to, go out with her, basically. And she doesn't want to go with him. She thinks he's a bit creepy and a bit slimy, so she's saying no. Scott, the neighbourhood bully, is also at the party for some reason. Again, don't know why. If he's a neighbourhood bully, surely he wouldn't be invited to a party, would he? But who knows? So anyway, so Jason rocks up, and it turns out that Kelly quite likes Jason, and she's sort of letting her affection be known. And the second in command of the dojo, I can't remember what. Did I write his name down on my little note? Let's have a look. No, I didn't. So anyway, so they end up having a bit of a rumble. They have a brawl. Tables get knocked over, and Jason ends up covered in food and drink and stuff, where he gets pushed over and he, rips his shirt. So anyway, so he goes home in disgrace, and then his dad discovers he's been fighting. He says, "What are you fighting for? Like a street goon? That's not on." And then have a big row about it, and then he gets grounded, and he's not allowed in the garage to practice anymore. And he says, "No, you're not touching all your karate clobber anymore. You can leave it alone." So anyway, so then RJ says, "Well, I know where there's an empty house," because that's what happens. See, I've got an itchy ear. I know where there's an empty house, and you can store all your karate stuff in this empty house. Right, so when Jason's out and about, or he's at school or whatever, we never see him going to school. He must have moved in the 6 weeks holiday. That's all I can think of. So Jason goes and he sets up in this empty house, and he then starts to do his karate practice, and he's going through drill and all this sort of thing. He then decides he decides he's been mugged off enough, so he's going to go to the grave of Bruce Lee, which is in Seattle. and he's appealing to Bruce Lee to help him, to guide him. Sensei Lee, come and help me, and you know, well, Bruce Lee's been dead for a few years, mate. You're not going to come back and help you. So anyway, so RJ leaves. He says, well, I'm going to leave you to it. He says, I'll be back tomorrow. And Jason says, well, I'm going to stay in this empty house, because that's what happens. You just stay in other people's houses. And then the spirit of Bruce Lee appears and comes to Jason's aid. Let's see, did I write down? The spirit of Bruce Lee is played by Kim Tai-chung. Now, I hope that I've done that properly, because the actor is South Korean, I believe, and I know that sometimes their names are different, aren't they? I think. Anyway, I think so. Hopefully, I've not done Mr. Chung a disservice there by mispronouncing his name. I don't want any aggro, you know. So anyway, so he's the spirit of Bruce Lee, and he's helping Jason, and he's teaching him, and it is part of you. You are part of it. It's not impossible until it's possible. It's then impossible that it's not possible, but it is, but it ain't. Giving him all that cryptic nonsense, rather than just say, mate, this is what you need to be doing. No, we can't do that. We've got to speak in riddles and metaphors, and we can't just explain ourselves. Anyway, so we go through this whole training thing. Meanwhile, Mr. Stillwell's got a job at a bar. He's a barman, and he ends up in a bit of a fight with some street goons, and he ends up getting done over, and you know, and then Jason comes to his aid and stops him getting done over, and he says, "Oh, you shouldn't be fighting," and you know, more cheese than Dairy Lee. Honestly, it's that dismal. Did I make any other notes, or is it just not important? Nah, it's not important, is it? So anyway, so then the National Syndicate, they turn up at the new dojo. The main man is back from his karate tournament. He's now the United States champion karate man. And he gets the phone call and he says, come down, we need to talk to you urgently. And they say, look, we're going to take over your dojo and you're going to like it. And he says, well, no, I'm not actually. And then, you know, it's just a series of unconnected events, basically. So then they say, right, we'll have to have a tournament then. If we win, we keep our dojo. If we lose, we'll sign up to this National Karate Syndicate crime thing. So they have a match, a karate fight tournament, and now in the karate tournament, there's the National Karate Champion head dojo, the second in command of the dojo, and Frank Peters, played by Peter Cunningham, martial arts legend. They're the three. It's going to be 3-on-3, and they've got these three goons for the crime syndicate team. Then they decide, no, we don't need these three hired goons. We only need Ivan the Russian, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. This film is going to get a knocked over coffee cup for this one. It's just dismal. So Ivan the Russian turns up, and you know, he sort of beats everyone up. Like I say, more cheese than Dairy Lee. He beats everyone up. He beats up the champion. He beats up Mr. Peters. He beats up the second in command. Then he beats up the champion. And it's all starting to go wrong. And he bashes the ref. And it's all kicking off. And for some reason, Kelly... The whole town is at this tournament. And for some reason, Kelly jumps up onto the ring apron. It's like a wrestling ring. And she jumps up onto the apron with a stool, and then Ivan the Russian looks as if he's going to sort of give her a bit of a clump, because she's, get out, and then that's Jason's cue then to be involved in the fight. You're wondering how that's going to work. you know, how is Jason going to end up in this fight? And there it is. So the ref gets kicked round the moon and back. He just gets kicked out of the ring, flies across the auditorium. There was an important note then just popped into mind, but I can't think of what it was now. It's gone. So the ref gets kicked out only once. He only gets kicked out once. I've just gone over it a couple of times. And so then it's all kicking off, and then Jason jumps into the ring, and then the end fight begins, and you know, Jason ends up, he gets battered a bit. It's Mrs. Grills said to me, she said, before you start, she said, this is very much like if Rocky met the Karate Kid and they had a baby. This is what it is. So it's like Rocky and the Karate Kid combined. It's like the love child of that, the illegitimate love child, I should say. So so then Jason gets in, he gets beaten up a bit, and he gets tangled up in the ropes. So there's like a bit of WWF action in there as well. He's tangled up in the ropes, getting beaten and pounded and pummeled and beaten. But then he comes back, and he's got the spirit of Bruce Lee, and he basically like Popeye with a can of spinach. And then he does him over. Ivan the Russian gets done over and gets kicked out of the ring over the top rope, and just basically sort of, you know, it's one sort of kick, but you'd swear he'd been, you know, hit by a Mack truck, the way he sort of flies across the auditorium. And then that's it really. Ivan the Russian's down and out on the outside, and that's it really. Film over. So no retreat, no surrender from, what year did I say it was? 1986. Load of rubbish, cheesy, cliched nonsense. Even though not even Van Damme can save that film. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme, I truly do, but not even he could save the film. He's in it for a few minutes at the start where he breaks Mr. Stillwell's leg, and he's in the main fight scene at the end, and not even Van Damme can redeem this film. It is just dire. It's going to get a knocked over coffee cup rating because at least the sound all matches. At least the sound is there. Unlike some other films, what was that film, Birdemic, where none of the sound synced up and none of the sound matched, and it was just diabolically poor. So yeah, no retreat, no surrender. Oh, and when this is how cheesy it is, when Jason's in the ropes and he's getting beaten up and pounded and punched really, really hard. I mean, we've all been punched really hard by people. It's happened to all of us. We've all been punched and beaten up at one point or another. And then RJ shouts out, "Jace!" And he goes, "What?" And you know, Ivan the Russian's still punching him really hard. He's going, "No retreat, no surrender." And he's like, "Oh yeah, totally." And that's his can of spinach then, isn't it? And it gives him the will to fight on. Oh, cliched, cheesy rubbish. So just don't bother. If you see it in a box set or whatever, buy the box set, but just give that a miss. You won't be missing anything at all, apart from a series of random, unconnected events. With wooden acting, I don't want to go slating anybody, but it's wooden acting. It's not natural sort of flowing conversation. It's all very stilted and stunted convos. Rubbish. So, yeah, no retreat, no surrender. Knocked over coffee cup rating for that one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.